Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Asia Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 20th of June. India to switch to GST regulation from June 30 midnight, says Finance Minister. Government employees demand hike in salaries in Pakistani Kashmir. And Muslims indulge in shopping ahead of Eid in southern India. And now for all the details. Ruling out any further slippage in the timeline, Indian Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Tuesday said that India will launch the Landmark Goods and Services Tax or GST as planned on July 1. He added there would be initial challenges after launching the tax reform, which will require all except smallest businesses to file 3 detailed returns online every month. A special midnight session of Parliament on June 30 has been proposed by the government to mark the rollout of the bill. Outgoing President Pranab Mukherjee, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Finance Minister Arun Jaitley are likely to address a special midnight session. The long-awaited GST has been hailed as India's biggest tax overhaul since independence in 1947. It will replace a slew of federal and state levies, transforming Asia's third-largest economy into a single market.
The revenues will grow. The spending capacity of the governments at the center and the states will increase, and consequently it should have a positive impact on the GDP. The size of the formal economy should also increase.
More on news from India. An aircraft of Afghan plants with medicinal uses landed in New Delhi on Monday. This marks the opening of the first air cargo corridor between Afghanistan and India.
On Monday, an aircraft packed with 60 tons of Afghan plants with medicinal uses landed in Indian capital New Delhi, marking the opening of the first air cargo corridor between the two countries. The cargo was received by Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj, other senior officials and Afghan envoy to India, SM Abdali, at the New Delhi airport. The cargo service aims to improve landlocked Afghanistan's links to markets abroad and boost the growth prospects of its agricultural and carpet industries.
This is a significant step forward in terms of advancing or enhancing the Afghan-Indian trade. This was the initiative started last year in the backdrop of the Amritsar conference. The whole purpose of the air corridor is to widen the trade between our two countries.
Afghanistan depends upon the Pakistani port of Karachi for its foreign trade, where it is allowed to send a limited amount of goods overland through Pakistan into India. The imports from India are, however, not allowed along this route.
Moving on to news from Afghanistan, at least 1 protester was killed and 5 others injured during a clash with security forces in Afghan capital Kabul in the early hours of Tuesday morning. Residents of Kabul had launched sit-in demonstrations angered by the deadly attack that hit Afghan capital on May 31.
A clash sparked when security forces tried to dismantle the tents of protesters in Afghan capital Kabul early Tuesday morning. 1 protester was killed and 5 others wounded during a clash in downtown Sharinau area of Kabul city. The clash started at about midnight and lasted until about 4 a.m., reports suggest. They have been holding a sit-in demonstration in the city against the lack of security in the country, following the May 31 truck bombing in Kabul that killed over 150 people. 2 days after the bombing, the protesters held a mass rally through the streets of the capital, and at least 5 protesters were killed in police firing. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's office has said that it has finalized some sections of its investigation into the shooting of protesters by security forces.
Meanwhile, the people of illegally occupied Pakistan-administered Kashmir recently protested against the Pakistani establishment. The government employees lashed out at authorities for denying them increased salaries despite a considerable rise in the prices of essential commodities.
Government employees in Pakistan-administered Kashmir took out a procession demanding the government to raise their wages. Shouting slogans against the Pakistani establishment, the protesters demanded a 100% rise in salaries and threatened to go on an indefinite strike if the government failed to meet their demands.
आज हमने अपील की है और एक रैली निकाली है जिससे हम प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ पाकिस्तान ऑनरेबल मियां मोहम्मद नवाज शरीफ साहब से काइंडली और हम्बली इस्तदा करते हैं कि वो गरीब मुलाजमीन की तनख्वाहों में, जैसा कि उन्होंने मुतअद्दिद बार वादा भी किया कि इस बार वो बढ़ाएंगे, और हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि वो 100% तनख्वाहों में इजाफा करेंगे, क्योंकि महंगाई जिस रेशो से आगे बढ़ रही है हमारा यहाँ गुजारा करना बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है.
Rise in cost of essential commodities in the region has added to their troubles. With the dwindling economy and absence of small-scale industries, the people in the region find it hard to make ends meet.
सरकार साहब से हम अपील करते हैं कि मौजूदा महंगाई के दौर में मुलाजमीन की तनख्वाहों में 100% इजाफा किया जाए और जितने भी एडहाक रिलीफ हैं इनको बुनियादी तनख्वाह में जम करके स्केल रिवाइज़ किए जाएं. इसके अलावा हमारा जो मेडिकल अलाउंस और दीगर अलाउंसेस हैं उनमें भी मुनासिब हमारा इजाफा किया जाए, चूँकि मुलाजमीन इस वक्त बड़ी कसम पुरसी की हालत में हैं.
The divide between the rich and poor is increasing in Pakistan-administered Kashmir as successive governments have paid little attention to the problems faced by the people.
Moving on, Indian Navy's new floating dock for warships and submarines was launched at Kattapalli shipyard near southern Chennai city. The floating dock has been designed by Larsen & Toubro.
Indian Navy on Tuesday got a new floating dock or FDN-2 for warships and submarines at Kattapalli shipyard near southern Chennai city. Designed and built for the Indian Navy by Larsen & Toubro or L&T at the company's Greenfield shipyard at Kattapalli. The floating dock was lowered into the waters of the Bay of Bengal by a wife of Vice Admiral D.M. Deshpande in presence of other senior naval officers.
Looking at expansions at Port Blair, and therefore the number of assets in terms of ships and submarines transgressing from there, as well as for the ships which are going to be based there. This adds and gives us much more capability and flexibility to undertake repair and maintenance work.
With the launch, FDN-2 would be put through a series of harbour trials before delivery to the Navy. Once operationalized, it is set to enhance the technical repair infrastructure of the Navy for ships based in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, as well as for visiting naval ships.
A day ahead of International Yoga Day, more than 250 persons in Western India on Tuesday attempted to create a world record by performing Surya Namaskar or a yogic sun salutation sequence for 108 times.
Around 275 persons performed 108 yogic sun salutations or Surya Namaskar in India's western Vadodara city on Tuesday in an attempt to make a world record. The yoga session was part of the series of events across India ahead of the International Day of Yoga celebrations on Wednesday and aimed to spread awareness about the positives of yoga. Surya Namaskar or sun salutation sequences comprises 12 yoga postures which provide a good cardiovascular workout. It works well for those super busy people who often complain about not being able to do yoga because of a time crunch. The organizers claimed that all the participants managed to complete the sequence 408 times.
Thousands of people करते हैं उसमें 100 लोग attempt कर पाते हैं, but here किया जितना किया उतना attempt कर ही लिया है, तो it's amazing and one of the unique experience, I can say that.
The organizers added that the application was considered by the Limca Book of World Records and videos of the event will soon be sent for approval. Yoga is one of India's most successful cultural exports. The 193-member UN General Assembly approved by consensus a resolution establishing a day to commemorate the ancient practice, which Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for in 2014 during his inaugural address to the world body.
As the ongoing holy month of Ramadan is about to end, Muslims across India continue to throng marketplaces to shop for delicacies and goods to celebrate the festive month in a traditional manner.
Muslims in India's southern Hyderabad city on Monday evening thronged markets to buy sweets and other traditional delicacies to break their day-long fast during the ongoing month of Ramadan. During this month, Muslims do not take food or water from dawn to dusk. They begin their day with prayers, followed by eating sehri, a pre-dawn meal, and break their long day fast with iftar in the evening. A huge crowd of shoppers was also seen buying clothes and other accessories from the market near the famous Charminar monument in the city.
अलग-अलग शहरों से, मुंबई से भी आते हैं, दिल्ली से भी आते हैं कि रमजान की शॉपिंग चारमीनार से करें. चारमीनार पर अच्छा सस्ता मिलता है और अच्छा से अच्छा आइटम मिलता है, बल्कि यहाँ पर आते हैं.
Ramadan has traditionally been a time of religious fervor, settling old disputes and behaving charitably towards neighbors. Devotees spend a great part of the holy month praying, reciting from the Holy Quran and giving alms. Young and old alike gather at mosques and hold prayers. The festival of Eid al-Fitr marks the end of Ramadan and the beginning of the next lunar month called Shawwal.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India to switch to GST regulation from June 30 midnight, says Finance Minister. Government employees demand hike in salaries in Pakistani Kashmir. And Muslims indulge in shopping ahead of Eid in southern India. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.